All right, good morning out there. Today is Thursday, April 3rd, 2025. I'm Anthony, and this is Drive Dive. So I really wanted to today just share some more thoughts on technology and the impact it has on our lives, what it might have to do with our identity, etc. It's really prompted by what's going on in my life today, where I have a therapy session later this evening, and normally I'm home with my son, so I have to bring him with me. I haven't had to do it before. He's really mature about it, right? I mean, he's only 8, and I've been able to just tell him, like, hey, yeah, daddy's got therapy today, right? And kind of describing at what I think is an appropriate level, like what therapy is. Just saying that, sometimes it's helpful to just talk to people, right? And there's just things that I'm trying to work out, things that I'm trying to process, and need to talk to somebody, just about these things. And kind of just communicating that you get the help that you need, right? So I think that's what therapy is for me, and that's what I've explained to him, and now I have to bring him with me tonight. And so we're talking about what he might do during that hour. I suggested that he bring a book. He then counters with, I was going to ask if I could bring a computer, to which I then said, well, I don't know what the Wi-Fi situation is like. So I said, worst case, right, one, I'll have my computer with me, so no, you don't have to bring your own computer and, risk any damage or anything like that. But I said, worst case, I'll have my phone with me. But I was thinking about my phone. He and I had been talking about Lorcana and different deck styles, because we're going to be playing in a tournament in 9 days for an Enchanted Elsa card. It's currently valued somewhere between $800 and $1,200. I don't know, it fluctuates a little bit. But it's a pretty valuable prize card, and trying to get him to, he and I are talking about decks and preparing for this tournament, what we might play against, and so what we might put together, and etc. And I said, I watched the video last night. It's about 40 minutes long, going over different deck types that have won in recent weeks. So maybe you'd want to give that a shot. And he said, yeah, or I thought I would just play games. And I said, well, time out. I don't like the mindless gameplay. I don't understand what it's doing for us, how it's helping us now at this stage of our development. I didn't say all this to him, but I just reminded him, as far as his identity goes and the goals that he has formed about, right, being a better soccer player, being a better Lorcana player, being a better Fortnite player. These are specific goals that he has in mind, and I'm thinking about some of the, I'm going to call them mindless games that he'd play on a cell phone. I don't understand what that's doing for you. And I told him that I do. As a high school teacher, unfortunately, I do see a lot of this mindlessness. I don't quite understand it, right? As focused as I am on productivity, right, setting goals and making progress towards these goals, I just don't see it, and I try to encourage my students. I'm like, the day of a quiz or a test, you shouldn't be walking through the hallways on your cell phone. Why is your study guide not out in your hand, during those 4 minutes of passing time? So then when you're in the classroom, as soon as you enter, you're able to get to your seat and continue studying, going over, those final examples of problems that you struggle with and you're anticipating are on this quiz. Because we reviewed the whole day before, I told you what was on it. Why wouldn't you spend a little more time studying rather than, the social media or the different apps? Or a lot of my kids are into fantasy sports and even sports betting. I hear them talking about parlays, and it's just, I think it's gotten out of control. And I don't share that level of detail with my son, but I do encourage him to be aware of his own technology use, right? I'm just going to say his relationship with technology, right? I think it's that's we do have to consider that, right? That it is a relationship that we do have with our technology. How dependent are we on it? From a utility standpoint, from an emotional support standpoint, as researchers have described, people becoming emotionally dependent upon AI chatbots. And yeah, just what it does to us, like psychologically and everything, from all the comparing that we do to other people's lives when they're putting out, the best parts of their life on social media, and we go, oh man, I wish I had that, or I wish I could do that. And so we have to consider, yes, our relationship with technology. Now, I don't know if I'm right or wrong to be putting that kind of maybe pressure on an 8-year-old to say, like, hey, I think you need to make sure that this activity, while you're on a device, right, while you're engaging in your relationship with technology, you make sure it's also supporting the goals that you established for yourself. It feels right to me, and I think that I would say the same if we broaden our perspective on technology and say it's a relationship. I would say that it feels right to consider my relationship with technology, just like I would encourage my son to consider his relationships with his different friends, with the different people in his life, and whether they are supportive relationships or not. Is it worth spending time with that individual? How do they make you feel? Right? Same goes for technology. How does it make you feel? How does it help you make progress on your goals, etc.? So I really wanted to get that out there, in this quick, at this point, 7-minute video, our relationship with technology. I had suggested, right, like, I know sometimes using technology to stream, right, I'm listening to the radio yesterday, and Tiki Barber, I think it was yesterday, he's talking about, just mentions, a show, watching with his wife. Somebody called in and was about to say something. Oh, I haven't watched it yet. And he's like, I watched it with my wife. And right, so sometimes, our media consumption can help us socialize, right? I'm not saying it's all bad, right? If it helps you socialize, well, socialization is a good thing. So by all means, continue doing that, right? If you're doing it on your own, maybe that's different, right? If it's not helping you socialize, if it's not helping you progress toward other goals, it's just something you're doing in isolation. Now, I know, circling back to what I said in the beginning, maybe encouraging my son to read a book, well, like, what's the difference, right? If I read by myself for pleasure, what's the difference between that and watching television shows or YouTube videos by myself for pleasure? What's the difference? And I do think that when you read a book, you are exposed. I do think it's inherently building your vocabulary more so than other forms of media consumption. And not to mention, I remember watching some time ago where it requires a bit more of our attention and our attention spans and exercising our memory, whereas like a 30-minute sitcom, it's a complete story, beginning, middle, and end within a 30-minute episode, as opposed to a book that can take hours to read, and remembering different parts and foreshadowing and different character development elements and such. Right? It's a bit more involved and, I think, intellectually stimulating than other forms of media consumption. So I think those are just the things to consider and the things to support, whether and evaluate, reflect on, right? Whether within ourselves, when raising children, right? Just things to think about, right? And so I really wanted to make sure I got that out there and shared that with some folks. That was just something going on in my life that I felt was maybe relevant to put out there. So that's it. Please comment down below, your thoughts on, right? Is it a relationship with technology, or is it just technology use? Is technology just a thing, right? Thoughts on the impact of technology on young children and their development, on how to use technology and the media that's available to us to support our goals and whatever they may be. So yeah, please, comment down below. And if you wouldn't mind, like the video, check out some of my other content. I try to record one of these every morning to myself feel more productive, but also get, some of these thoughts out there into the world and hopefully support others, in their respective journeys. So yeah, like, subscribe, share, comment down below, all that fun stuff. And otherwise, enjoy your Thursday. I will see you tomorrow morning. Take care.